Hello everyone, in this video we are diving into essential king and pawn endgames, a must know for anyone looking to master the endgame phase. We'll break down 4 beginner friendly king and pawn endgames that will help you improve your understanding and decision making in critical positions. Stick around till the end and let's level up your endgame skills together. Let's begin. Okay, so starting with the first position, yet very important to learn. Currently we are having only 2 kings. We are going to learn the opposition, which is a very important concept in the endgame. So currently we are only having 2 kings and no material left. So the task here is, if any of the kings is able to enter in any of these 3 red squares, they will able to win the game. Yeah, it sounds fun. So for example, if it's white to play, white is kind of only having these 5 squares available, and if white goes anywhere, for example on e4, black will just get this opportunity to come on c5 and black will simply win the game. Going back, if white simply plays the move king c4, now black can simply play the move king e5, and now once again black has been able to enter in one of the red squares, and that's winning for black. And this is exactly what is known as the opposition. Currently you will see that the king is facing each other 1 square apart. So the player who has to make the move will simply lose the opposition. For example, as it was white to play, so currently black is having the opposition because it's white to play. If it's black to play, then white is having the opposition. Yeah, so king e4, black can enter with king c5. This is a very important and yet a very easy concept to learn in the game of chess, and especially in the end game. So yeah, after this, let's move on to the second position. Okay, so now we have the second position on the board, but this time we are having 1 pawn, and white is the one having the extra pawn, and it's black to play. Yeah, so currently you will see once again the king is facing each other 1 square apart, and it's black to play. So logically speaking up, white should be the one having the opposition, and white is already a pawn up. So this should be a winning endgame for white, right? Because white is the one having the opposition and white is a pawn up. But actually this is a draw position. How? In this position, black will simply play the move, or if you are playing with the black pieces, you must play the move king to d6. There is a rule in chess, which is when your king has to step away from the pawn, always go straight back. In this position, as you can see, white is having the d pawn, so black is simply going in the line of the pawn. And in this position, after king to d6, now to gain the opposition, white wants to play the move king to d4 to face the black king. But white can't really play the move king d4 because white is already having his own pawn on the d4 square. So white have to make a move like king to e4. And after king e4, we are simply going to play the move king e6. And now black is the one having the opposition, yeah? Because both the kings are facing each other 1 square apart, and it's white to play. Once again, an important thing to notice, don't let, like for example, if you play something like king d7, don't let white's king step in front of his own pawn unless you have no choice, because after king d5, now white is the one having the opposition, and it's really game over for black. Because if black goes king e7, now you see one of the squares is empty, white will simply jump in. Black goes back, once again white will simply regain the opposition, black have to move, and this time white king goes to the e7 square, and now white just needs to push the pawn down the board, and white can make the queen and win the game. That's exactly what you should avoid with the black pieces. If you're having the opportunity to block out the white king, just play the move king e6, yeah? And now you are the one having the opposition because it's white to play. White gives a check, and now you simply play the move king to d6. Once again, an important thing to notice, when you can step in front of your opponent's pawn, always do so. Like you can go back, but you are having this opportunity to come and step in front of your opponent's pawn, always do so. Your opponent have to play the move king d4 to protect the d5 pawn, and now once again you simply go back. You simply go straight back as your opponent's pawn. Opponent have to play something like king e5, just block it with king e7. d6 check, just play the move king d7. King goes to d5, king goes back. If king c6, now going to king e8 loses the game because white will simply get this important c7 square. So you simply block it. with the idea of opposition. King c8, white can push the pawn, or you can say white is kind of forced to push the pawn. If white king goes back, just step in front of the pawn. That makes sense. So yeah, just d7, king d8, and now after king d6, it's a draw. It's a stalemate because black king is not really having any legal move to make, and black king is not really attacked. So that's the draw. So it's a very simple concept, yet it's very critical and important to learn, because if you are ever playing the endgame, you must know these concepts like opposition. So this was the second position, so now let's jump on the third position. Okay, so now we are having the third position on the board, but this time white is having the rook pawn. What do I mean by rook pawn? So basically, if you try to set up the fresh chessboard, the rook belongs on the h and the a file, yeah? So currently, we are having the h pawn, so that is why it's considered as a rook pawn, yeah? Because it's on the same file as the rook. If it's a g pawn, then it's considered as a knight pawn, it's a bishop pawn, it's a king pawn, and so on. So currently, white is having the rook pawn, and whenever your opponent is having the rook pawn, what you need to do here is just get your king in front of the pawn, and that's a draw. That's a draw. Because, for example, it's black to play. Just move your king. Your opponent have to give a check, and just king h8, and that's a draw. Why? Because the board literally ends after this. Yeah, there are no really more squares to go back or go to the sides after. Just king h8, king h6, and that's a draw. That's game over. So whenever your opponent is having the rook pawn, always make sure to get your king in front of your opponent's pawn, h pawn, and that's a draw. That's a no-brainer. Yeah, so this was the third position, so now let's move on to the next position. Okay, so now we have the fourth position on our board, but this time it's not a rook pawn, instead it's a knight pawn. Yeah, so this time if it's the white to play, white actually wins the game. Why? Yeah, so currently if it would have been black to play, black would have simply played the move king f8, and then black is the one having the opposition. Yeah, because it's white to play, the king is facing each other one square apart. White will have to push the pawn, the king goes to the side, king goes to over here, and that's a draw. But this time, it's white to play. White can simply play the move g7. And as I said, it's a knight pawn, so this time black is having the squares to go on the side. So this time, black is currently having the only square on h7. But this time, the white king can enter with king to f7. And now, white will make the queen. And the most accurate move, queen to g3. Though there are many ways to win the possession, but still, queen g3. What is the idea? White queen takes away all the squares and forces the black king to go on h6. And after king h6, queen g6, and that's a draw. And that's a win. That's a win for white, because white simply meets the black king with the white queen, and that's game over. So yeah, these are some basic fundamentals in the endgame that you must know. And that's like, these endgames are kind of easy to master, but even sometimes even grandmasters, even top grandmasters blunder these types of endgames, which are a bit insane. Though it's those endgames are a bit hard to understand, but yeah, we will definitely talk about that a bit later. But yeah, for today's, that's it. You have now successfully mastered the direct opposition, or you can say the opposition, and some basic king and pawn endgame. So yeah, that's it. So I hope that this video would have helped you to get a basic idea about the endgame, about the chess endgame. If you are extreme beginner, this is the perfect video, I believe. So yeah, if you learned something new today, make sure to share, like, and subscribe if you are new to my channel. And definitely I'm going to come up with these more exciting videos like this. So yeah, till then, stay tuned and keep watching Oneshot Chess. Bye bye.